This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, miniatures, and paints, discount prices at miniaturemarket.com. Hi everybody. Some of the greatest players, game players in the world are Blood Bowl players. I always consider Blood Bowl one of the most ultimate fantasy chess matches that you will ever have. Being able to think and react the way you have to in Blood Bowl is one of the things that really makes a phenomenal coach. How do you adapt to situations? Just when you think everything's going right for you, everything goes wrong. And that's some of the beauty of Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl is a game where you become very passionate about your team. The team that you put together, each player that you name, you know, especially in a campaign setting. It's a bad sign when you hear thunder. You know, especially when we're talking about changes that are coming to this phenomenal experience. You know, from Dead Zone to Dungeon Bowl. You know, I've played for well over 30 years. Around 30 years. As long as this game's been around, I've been around with Blood Bowl, and my passion for Blood Bowl has been very, very strong. And there are some phenomenal coaches out there, and I love watching all their channels and all the things that they do, whether they play electronically. It's one of the few games that comes over from that you know, started as a board game and translated very, very well into a computer game. Even the old, you know, DOS versions of it were good enough where you had that feeling of Blood Bowl. Now, let me just start this video off that if you're looking for, you know, any news that's going to be any different than what anybody else has put out there, I don't have any insides on this one, but I do want to talk a little bit about this and talk about some of the things I'm excited about, yet some of the things I'm really concerned about. Like I said, I've been around playing for a long time. I mean, everybody remembers the styrofoam pitch, okay, of this edition. Everybody remembers the Dungeon Bowl, you know, Dungeon Bowl, how great that was, and everything that went with it. I have all the newer versions. One of my favorite versions. I'm just taking the cover off here just to show you my immense passion and making sure that I, you know, collected every single team that I could possibly get my hands. That version I just showed you, I have 3 versions of it because if I saw it at a flea market, I felt it was a shame for it to just sit there. My love for Blood Bowl is immense. So when I started hearing about the new rules and some of the things that they're doing and what they want to change, was I excited or scared? I think a little bit of both. A little bit of both. You know, there's an excitement of seeing new models, okay? When I saw the cover of the new set, Humans and Orcs again, I wished one day that they would take these starter sets and really go outside the box. I mean, how cool would it be to see, hey, an elf team and an undead team, or a chaos human, you know, something a little bit different. Orcs, you know, whatever, dwarves, you know, as a starter box. I think that would have been exciting. But looking at the new models that they have planned, how the new humans look, the black orcs and their look, just get you excited and go, wow, new models. And you can't help but be excited compared to the old days where you just had the guy with the ball going. But speaking of this, now all of a sudden we're talking about some of the rule changes, and some of the big things are passing. This makes me a little nervous, yet excited in the same way. It's almost the way it was a few years ago when the NFL decided to make it easier and make it harder for defensive backs but easier for receivers. Now all of a sudden, it's almost like they nerfed the thrower. The thrower was always a guy that you wanted to have out there because of the throw skill and the reroll for it. And that's about it. But was he a key player? Now all of a sudden it seems like this thrower that you're going to have is going to be a player that is going to be so intricate to your team that if he is taken out, what do you do if you don't have a backup thrower? Especially since other players won't have that type of ability to pass. So do you carry 2 throwers on your team in case you lose one during a game to injury or whatever? And what do you do if you get an injury to your thrower? Okay, do you drop him from your team and buy another rookie thrower and try to bring him up? It's now a really difficult situation because the passing stats are not going to favor other players the way it was. In the old rules, just about anybody can throw a pass or possibly get the passing skill. Now it is a total skill onto itself, and certain players are not going to have the attribute to get it unless, of course, they roll doubles. If I'm correct about what they're going to be doing in the new rules. This poses a lot of questions. And now it seems like it's almost easier to pass with some of the things. The defense is going to have 2 choices, which makes it kind of different. Whether to deflect the ball or intercept the ball. And what does deflection really mean? What's that going to do? And how's that going to change the passing skill itself? Inaccurate passes, accurate passes. It seems like the skill is a lot easier, where everything but, anything but a 1 is a success. And that makes me nervous because it opens up a game. Also, running, and if you have very high agility players, another thing that seems to be very prevalent is having the ability to very easily jump over or go over down players or injured players that are on the pitch. And does that favor the elves and their type of high flying ball game? You get a really good elf with the ability to leap over things and this, that, and the other and throw the ball. Do the elves become overpowered? There's going to be a new thing called a running pass, which is really interesting, that you can run a certain point and then toss the rock. When you start thinking, and if you are a hardcore coach like myself, and I know a lot of you are out there that have your teams, you start thinking about Skaven. Okay, now all of a sudden it's easier to pass on these very fast teams. Elves, okay, very fast teams. Also the ability, the Fumaruski that I've seen, where you're able to run a certain point, drop the ball there, and keep on going without a turnover, meaning somebody else can come up and pick up the ball. How does that affect fast teams? Okay, now to balance that out a little bit, I've heard of Mighty Blow +1 and possibly +2. Okay, now your big teams and your big hitters and your strength, if they do get their hands on you, can they put you out for good? Well, not so fast, because death has become a lot easier. Instead of a 1 in 6 chance, it's become harder to kill somebody, but kind of easier to injure somebody. So you wonder where this balance comes in. What's this going to do? Flimsy teams. Are you going to want to play, a goblin team? Are you going to want to play, or are you going to play and try to really beef up a very fast team and make it very, very quick? Or are you going to try to really get behind and jack up your stronger teams to hopefully slow those down? you got to see where the balance is going to be. When you have major changes like this, it really makes me nervous, because one of the things that was always beautiful about this game was the living rule book. Okay, the living rule book that has always progressed, and always little tweaks, and you saw where, okay, yeah, these some of these rules were really good, some of them but you could always live with them. But when you have an overhaul like this, such as on kickoffs, how things are going to change, throw a rock is gone, and it gets replaced with something ref. Forgive me if I don't have it all in front of me, and some of the other things on kickoffs where you can jump ahead turns or go back turns. Maybe a lot of times this game, you get two very well-skilled coaches where, yeah, they can progress the game, but also they are looking and they are thinking. And some of these games could be 2 hours. When you have something on every kickoff that can maybe elongate a game, can that really be taxing? Or if you shorten a game, does that take away from certain teams? That's a bit of a head scratcher. The cheerleader ability, which I think is kind of interesting, where it's going to have a separate table that can do certain things. Another thing that they're doing is they're changing a bunch of skills. We've already talked about Mighty Blow. Pro is going to be changed. We're going to have to see how that, all these things are rumors right now. The different races, some of the tweaking and cost values are going to be different. Instead of going by tens of thousands, it's going to be 5,000. There's going to be 5,000 increments. How does that affect how you pay for your team? When you're building your team, is it going to take away certain builds that you are used to, where you feel very comfortable with, and now have to make you rethink your skill in building your team? Another interesting point. Another thing that you're going to get, where I think where you're going to get, where it could get a little bit cheesy, but again, these are not finalized things, is having the ability to buy skills versus the randomness of rolling skills. Because the expense of skills could be a certain plateau. I think it's like 80,000 for a plus strength skill that you could buy. And if I've got a bunch of elves with 3 strength, and I had an elf with 4 strength, I'd pay 80,000 every chance I get. Okay, by mid-season, if I had 2 or 3 players, linemen with 4 skill, as well as all these quicker skills, the ease of passing, pro, the ability to leap over things at ease. Some of these fast teams could be nasty. It's bad enough high elves, Skaven, are quick, and for slower teams, does this neutralize a dwarf team, where you go, wow, man, I don't have the movement. Even though I have the strength, I don't have the movement. And some of the stuff, there's some other players, like Vomit for Trolls, which is going to be very interesting. I forgot. Projectile Vomit. What's that? Ooh, that's real interesting. But getting back to buying the skills, do you, when you finally get a player to get a skill, if you don't get the skill that you want, do you just drop that player and buy another player? Instead of saving up that money and buying the skill, do you just drop that player and try to get them those 6 points to get the skills that you want? It's a really interesting time for coaches and stuff. Kickoffs become very, very interesting, as that whole table has basically changed as far as we know thus far. Am I excited? Yes. Am I worried? Yes. I'm afraid that you start taking away too many things. Should a zombie be able to throw the ball? Should mummies be able to throw balls? No. I've always believed no. but that's part of the game, okay? Some of the luck factor, catching a big break, a bad, like in real American football, a bad snap, on when you're first in goal, someone slipping. Those are all these little intricate things that played out so well in Blood Bowl. The most one of the greatest sports games ever created. Okay, if you have a passion for Blood Bowl, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, this is in one of my favorite games of all time. It would be my favorite game of all time if I had people to play with, because I'd be playing it probably year-round, all weekend long. But that's not the course, so I had to drop that down on my list. The thing is my love for this game and my passion for this game, and the people that have put their lives into this game for the last 30 years. Just know what I'm talking about. That don't mess with my holy grail game, with one of my grail games of all time. And that and Sabutio, are two of the greatest games ever made. Okay, the skill, the thoughtfulness, one where it's a dexterity, Sabutio I'm talking about. And then you have Blood Bowl, which is a thinking man's game. It is the ultimate chess match. And there are just so many wonderful people out there that cover this game and have a passion for this game. And I admire every single one of them. Everyone that is a coach knows what I'm talking about and how awesome and how beautiful this game is. And now here we go into another season where there is excitement yet fear. Don't destroy the beautiful game. Okay. Blitz Bowl, I thought, okay, this is nice where you can mess with a few things and get people to get into this game and move on to more. But as more comes out and more we see, and some of the phenomenal photos that we've seen, the trailer for it, which was exciting, showing the history of this, I can't see where you can't be excited and pumped up for this phenomenal experience that is coming to us very, very soon. Listen, am I going to buy it? Am I going to buy everything for it? Absolutely. It is one of the greatest games ever made, and I think you should too. And we are going to cover it every step of the way here at Rob's Tabletop World, as well as, we'll follow some of the other channels that do some fantastic work with this, okay? But I want to go with those channels that have the passion, that play it a lot. The other exciting news is the electronic version, where Blood Bowl 3 is going to coincide with the new rules. That's exciting. Are we going to see it on Xbox, PlayStation 4, PC? I hope so, because this is an exciting time. It's always exciting. Yet again, I always have this pit in my stomach, worried that they are going to mess up something that probably is one of the most perfect games ever, and that's Blood Bowl. So as we hear more, as we see more, and as soon as we can get our hands on this phenomenal experience that is the new Blood Bowl season, I think they're calling it season 2. I'm telling you right now, we are going to be on top of this. We are going to cover this. You know me, I'm not a cult of the new guy, but when you say Blood Bowl, I'm sorry, I'm going to be all over it. I'm going to be on top of it, and we're going to dedicate a lot of time on this channel to this phenomenal experience. And hopefully maybe get to play with some of you over the internet in our capacity with SteamYard, which I would really look forward to. James Winter, I know you're out there. Believe me, I will get your dwarves to you, and maybe we could play together, which would be phenomenal, and I would be very excited about that. All right, listen. Blood Bowl. It's coming. Get excited, folks, because I know I am. And this is going to be a phenomenal experience that we are going to have a blast with. Until next time, it's your old pal Rob. We'll see you
End
soon.
of the game, and you could get this from Miniature Market, right, Grandpa?
You can get this from Miniature Market. That's right.
Yeah, everything you need. Bye.